Take this opportunity to welcome the great students from Marymount University. Is that correct? Marymount High School. Okay, and I want you each to come up right now, give a minute on microphone, tell us about yourselves. This is public speaking on the spot. Come on, here we go. Good job. Good. Thank you, Sergeant.
One speaks, the next one rotates.
Super. Welcome. Why don't we start right here?
Hi, I'm Eileen, and I'm a rising junior.
And what's your favorite thing in life, other than family?
I like ice cream.
All right, I do too. Very good.
Hi, I'm Tarika, and I'm a rising senior, and I am a swimmer.
Swimmer, good, very good.
Hi, I'm Shay, and I like to play volleyball.
Very good. It's a good sport.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a rising junior. I love my dog.
What's your dog's name?
She's like a little yellow lab. Her name is Lulu. She's a year old.
All right. Very good.
I love her.
Tell him the city council says hello.
I'm Lauren. I'm a rising sophomore, and I also play volleyball.
No.
I'm Katya, and I'm a rising senior, and I play soccer and do robotics.
Wow, that's very good. And your school is located exactly where?
It's in Westwood.
From UCLA.
UCLA, like Marymount?
Yeah, Mary.
Yeah.
Right, not Mount St. Mary's, but Marymount, right across from UCLA.
Yes.
That's a great school. So good luck to all of you, and walk the campus at UCLA so you can vision your future. Okay. And then to be fair, to be fair, go down to USC and visit your future there. I'm sorry, I want to do that too. Congratulations, good job everybody. Thank you. And they're guests of the mayor's office, is that correct? Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Buscaino, let's take the Port of Los Angeles right now. Mr. Buscaino is a fine councilman in the 15th. We're ready to open up, and I want to start with all issues of the port.
Well,
We're waiting for Mr. Rosendahl.
under item 3. Good morning. You have Mr. Buscaino's motion requesting a presentation on the Harbor Department budget for this coming year.
Thank you.
So good morning, council members. We're pleased to be here today. We're going to give you an overview of the budget. It's going to be top level, but we're going to spend some time talking about our capital projects, which I know will be of interest to you. And I'm pleased to be able to say we have the entire Port senior management team here. As we couldn't get enough of Espinosa's today, so we're leaving here and we're meeting Chris Espinosa and having a tour of the Pico House in the Pueblo.
Right. Just for a point of Dr. Nats, I do have other items, specifically the new general manager of the Los Angeles Convention Center, and there was a number of cards that were filled out. Could you tell me all the people who had comment about Bud Overham?
Oh, I think probably from the Port there's 7 or 8 of us that want to comment on that
People
appointment.
who very much support Bud. I just wanted to feel comfortable, Bud. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Nats. Okay, continue.
Okay, if I can bring up the first slide, Aaron. So our 5-year strategic plan is really the driver for everything we're doing right now, and we have 3 focus areas in that plan. Competitive operations is probably the biggest one, and you'll see that it's a driver for our overall budget. This budget, once implemented, will create 8,574 jobs. So next slide. Our total budget is $1.1 billion. Overall, we see our operating revenue growth to be really modest, pretty minor. Our operating expenses, however, are remaining flat, and we have the largest capital program ever in Port history. And our capital program is $451 million. That includes a $399 million capital improvement program. Next slide. If you look in more detail at our capital improvement program, you'll see that it's broken down. We break it down into major areas. You'll see that most of the money is going towards terminal improvements, and that is really important for our to remain competitive. We also are spending a significant amount in the transportation area, and then you can see the purple wedge is community expenses at $29 million, and then we also have marine support activities and security. Overall, this is a graphic that shows our budget and our net revenue over a period of years. And you can see for a number of years, we have been pretty flat. You know, our revenue hasn't grown too much. We have not actually reached the revenue or volume levels that we had in 2006, but we've been managing to keep our expenses flat, despite the fact that we have increases in salaries and things that are somewhat automatic. We've been cut back in other areas because we want to make sure that we're able to continue to borrow money and to make our capital investments. The next slide shows our capital improvement program over time, and you can see back in 2006, in those first few years, we were not really spending a whole lot of money. There was a big gap between what our capital budget was and what we were spending. That was before we cleaned up the port. As soon as the Clean Air Action Plan went into implementation, you can see that we ramped up our spending. We had a big push to kick off a lot of projects. A lot of major projects were completed. Cabrillo Marina, a lot of the early phases of the terminal projects, the Wilmington Waterfront Park, and so the capital improvement dipped. But now we're coming up to another wave of spending on capital improvement. We try to hit about 90% of our capital budget. We don't want to hit 100% because there's contingency money in that capital budget. And so that means everything that could have gone wrong in construction went wrong. We found contaminated sediment, what have you. So it's always good to shoot for a 90% mark on our capital budget. So in terms of some of the highlights, first of all, I put a picture of Ports of Call there because I know that's of prime interest to Councilman Buscaino. But I put it there to tell you it's not really in this budget in terms of big dollars, because right now we're in the negotiation stage with our developer. But next year you'll be seeing our part of the investment moving forward in the capital budget.
The developer you selected is Wayne Rakovich?
It is Wayne Rakovich.
Right.
It's called the LA Waterfront Alliance. They've been doing a fabulous job so far.
He's a great thinker. He started out, I know he saved the Fine Arts Building, the Chapman Park Market,
the Wilton
Theater, et cetera, et cetera. So this will be very good. And I hope, the one thing I really hope is they bring the people to the water and somehow figure that path. But anyway, back to you.
I think they will, because there's a lot of stuff, synergies coming together on the waterfront. Next to that, you see the downtown harbor. We actually have excavated the basin already. If you go down there, that was a project in last year's capital budget. This year, we're doing the plaza all around that, and that's about a $21 million improvement. Down below that, the Beacons building, that's our newest project in Wilmington. We're in the design phase. The building is the coolest building. It was where Smart and Final started almost 100 years ago. It's going to become the Red Car Museum, and then our port archives are going to be on the upper levels. It needs about a $20 million seismic upgrade, and so we're starting the design on that, and we programmed that money in the next few years to do the upgrade on that building. Yeah, adaptive reuse, as I'm learning, is very expensive when you have to do the seismic upgrade. The other thing and there was an article in the LA Times this morning about the City Dock project. Next Monday, there'll be a big announcement about the name of this project and the nonprofit board that will take over this project. It is the historic pier in the port. It was built to get us ready for the opening of the first Panama Canal about 100 years ago. It's essentially vacant, and it will become a research, educational, and business complex for the marine industries. And so all of the first tenant will be the Southern California Marine Institute, which is 11 of our area colleges and universities. So that's a fabulous, fabulous, exciting development, and it is another public-private partnership. So next slide, TRAPAC. We are still working on our TRAPAC terminal. There's $99 million in this year's budget for TRAPAC. We're starting on their on-dock rail yard. We have also in this budget $29 million for grade separation in Wilmington. So finally, people in Wilmington will not get stuck by a train when they go to Banning's Landing. We also are continuing our Burt 200 rail yard, which is $71 million in our budget, and the China shipping project, we're coming to the last phase of China shipping. We have $42 million in the budget. And then AMP. Today we have 9 berths that are ready for plug-in power, and we'll have 26 done by next January, and that's a $127 million investment. And then my final slide on capital projects is the upcoming projects. Not so much in the budget this year, but our projects that we're kicking off. APL, we're in the design of their terminal improvements. Their EIR is done. And we're kicking off projects, EIRs for YTI and Yangming. They are getting deep water berths and new berths to take advantage of our new finished main channel dredging project. And so that's a quick overview. I'd be happy to answer any questions or have any of the team answer questions.
You got it. We're joined by Mr. Rosendahl. Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Buscaino of the 15th District.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Dr. Nance, for that comprehensive summary on our upcoming budget for the Port of Los Angeles. I'm excited to move forward on this. I wanted just a couple comments and some questions. I see here the investment of the terminals and the terminal improvement. In meeting with the customers the last year and a half, they've often complained about trying to make improvements to their terminals, to whether it's road improvements or others. But it's great to see the port making that commitment and listening to our tenants moving forward. My concern is the dollars that are being spent on security. God forbid if something was to happen to our Port of Los Angeles. I know we have a great collaboration with all law enforcement agencies, even more so. We just saw that when the Homeland Security Conference was here in Los Angeles. And I want to commend Captain John Holmes, who's also here in the audience, for his commitment to securing our port. Do you foresee in the coming fiscal years an increase in security dollars?
Yeah, and I should also say that the dollars that you're seeing on the pie wedge here is our security dollars that's in the capital improvement program. We also have security dollars in our operating budget. As a matter of fact, probably the biggest chunk in terms of personnel and dollars in operating budget is for our security budget, our operation budget. So most of the money is over there. Okay. And then we also have security grants. So John, I don't know if you want to pop up and say anything more about security spending. It looks like, based on the slide I put up, it's only $5 million, but it is a lot more than $5 million.
Okay, got it. That was a concern.
Yeah, right.
$8 million in the capital program as well.
Got it.
Yes, those are, good morning. Those are just capital projects, and we have we have a large budget for the security functions at the port.
That's part of your operating budget.
That's part of our operating budget. And also, just to give you a little bit of some numbers, you know, in the last 10 years, we've spent over $200 million for security improvements.
Fantastic.
And so we continue to do that. We're trying to be smarter about how we spend our security grant funding, trying to get security funding to pay for some of the operational things that we do, replacing existing equipment. So as you know, this is a very, very important year for the Port Police. They've moved into a new building. Mm-hmm. We're upgrading a number of systems. We're putting in a brand new computer-aided dispatch system for the Port Police. We have all new frequencies and a new communication system. Right. So one of the things we're trying to do this year is actually catch up on some of the projects, because we'd rather have 10 projects and have them completed than have 20 projects partially done. So we're trying to do that. And the other thing, as you know, is the Port Police have grown very rapidly. Our security forces have grown very rapidly. So we're implementing a staffing study that we did, which is designed really to identify what the missions are that are important to the Port Police, and also where is the best use of our resources. And when you grow from, well, as you know, the Port Police was 50 people not too very long ago, and right now we're 130 sworn, and then another 50 or 60 security officers. So as you grow that fast, we've had the growing pains, and we thought it was a good time to sort of take a look at what the right size and the right mission functions are for the Port Police, and we're implementing that this year, and actually that's being led by Assistant Chief Mike Hillman, former LAPD.
Great selection, by the way. We're really pleased with Captain Chief Hillman.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he's specifically there to implement the study and make sure that we're got the right people in the right job. So we're very excited about that, and actually we're actually in the process of hiring a very high-level emergency manager for the port, because as Director Nat said, keeping everything moving and getting back if something bad happens is one of our priorities for this year. And actually today, former Assistant Fire Chief Dave Badgett is going to come in and take that position. And we're yes, we're very fortunate to have both Mike and Dave Badgett. And so we look forward to this year, but it's going to be a year where we have to finish some things that we started, and that's really an important focus for us.
Thank you, Captain Hills. I appreciate your commitment. I wanted to talk a little bit and ask some questions about our exports. Specifically, as we know, they've declined this last year, and what can we do as a City Council, my colleagues and I, to make every effort to increase exports, and how can we better promote the Trade Connect program throughout the city and the region? And when I was in Washington, D.C., with the chamber, we were asking officials in the White House and we are on their radar as far as this Trade Connect program, which is incredible. So if you can just answer those few questions.
Okay, and yes, as you're aware, we just won the President's E-Star Award because of the Trade Connect program. Our exports can decline. It could have been, and I'd have to check, but it could have been the, grain prices and things like that do affect the exports. But we are actually quite excited about the results we're getting from Trade Connect, and actually in our monitoring reports to the board on a strategic plan, we are now following up with all the companies we train to find out how many actually export. So last year, 13 new companies started exporting as a result of going through our program. This year, we already have 11 new companies from the LA region that have started exporting as a result of going through our program. We can't tell whether they're exporting through LA or Long Beach, so we don't worry about that. We're just trying to get more companies into exporting. So we do have good record keeping now on the benefits of that program. This is a long-term thing. It's going to take some time before you actually see, these are small companies, but building up over time as the word gets out about Trade Connect, I think we'll see a lot more exporting opportunities.
Can we help in that effort, my colleagues and I on City Council? If so, how can we?
Hosting, we do the Trade Connect programs in different council districts, in different neighborhoods. We connect with different business groups or banks. We've held some actually in the Midwest of the United
Riverside
States.
County too, right?
And so we're actually doing them now. I was thinking about reaching out to the universities. We've done one with at the, what's Dr. Sohn's university? Channel Islands University. I noticed USC has a garage thing they're starting for startup companies, and those are the type of people we want to get to start think about exporting right as they set up their business plan. So we're going to do more outreach with the universities to try and train them as exporting, especially in the business groups there. So yes, if you have any ideas on what groups would like to sponsor or where we hold those programs, we'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. And a couple more questions and comments. I just applaud your efforts and your team's effort in the capital improvement program and the money that's being committed to that. As you know, this is a vital component in our efforts to grow jobs and revitalize economic development in the region. I see that 8% of the proposed CIP budget is funded for LA waterfront projects. That's about $31 million. But I don't see anything, a line item for the redevelopment of Ports of Call. And I know you mentioned it, and you and I meet every month.
Right, yeah.
Just for the record,
Well, 21 million is the area around the basin, the downtown harbor
right.
of that.
And I see it through my office, the progress that's being made every day. It's exciting. I just, if possible, I'd like to see a plan that outlines how the port plans to include these redevelopment efforts at Ports of Call in future budget proposals. I know we're still negotiating with the developer.
And I can give you some of that information.
Okay.
I can do that later on this afternoon.
And lastly, generally speaking, what budgetary risk are we looking at in this proposal, and to what extent is this proposal dependent on cargo projections?
Well, we have been very conservative in our budgeting. We assumed a very small increase, about 1.5% increase in volume in this cargo, and a very small increase in revenue. We have actually, this budget assumes the 1.7% cost of living increase that our board recently approved that will apply to our tariff. As you know, our board almost a year ago started imposing cost of living increases on all of the entities that do business in the port, even the guys that operate the fish stalls. They all have cost of living in their agreements now. Because we found over time that people, we weren't keeping up. And so looking at generating revenue, we've had a special committee within the port to work on that as well. But volumes, for this next year, we don't predict a significant change in volumes. We're fighting for everything.
And Councilmember, go ahead, Molly.
I was just going to also add, one of the things that we do in terms of risk mitigation in our budget, just as a matter of course, is that we make sure we have pretty tight financial policies. So in every year, we have about a year's worth of our ability to sustain ourselves should something go south. So that's kind of
1 year worth.
1 year's worth of cash that's available to us to sustain our operational as a reserve.
Fantastic.
So that's assuming that things go really south, that we have that built in terms of our budget.
Fantastic. Thank you, Molly.
Councilmember Mike Christensen, Director of Development. We have an extremely aggressive capital program, as Dr. Nats had mentioned. We also, as a part of that, have launched into an area that's a little new for the port over the past few years, and that's grant funding. Our grant portfolio now is over $200 million. Wow. And a lot of that is applied to our infrastructure.
We like that.
Huge. We have, and we continue to aggressively pursue these grants. So a lot of our capital program has very tight deadlines and time schedules. A lot of these interface with other city departments. We have had outstanding cooperation from Building and Safety, from DOT and others. We need to continue that. So if we can just continue getting that kind of support on permitting and entitlement on these programs, it will be great. And that's probably one of our biggest risks, but at this point we're managing it with the cooperation of the other city departments.
And it's time sensitive in light of what's happening down south, right, with the Panama Canal expansion.
Right.
Everything's time.
Mr. Chair, in closing, I just want to compliment and commend the Port of Los Angeles. It's an incredible asset that we have in our own backyard, and to know that the economy is driven by the Port of Los Angeles, not only regionally but nationally. I'm blessed to be a part of your team, and not only in making sure that the port is the international gateway of cargo, it ought to be the international gateway of people as well. And in light of the port's commitment to the Ports Call redevelopment, this is probably one of the top issues in San Pedro, of ensuring that we are a destination, and that those 30 acres of waterfront redevelopment is just prime property. And to know that we are moving forward on that is so exciting. Again, I'm just proud to be a part of it. So thank you, Dr. Nats, for your leadership, you and your team, and just proud to be your partner. My team and I are here for you, and I'll just turn it back over to the chair.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to call on Mr. Rosendahl, who is the councilman of the district where the first port of Los Angeles was.
I might say the advocacy of our new council member is gratifying for me to see that energy in the room and his positiveness on everything going on the port. Secondly, I saw a lot of B-roll of you, Dr. Nat, with our mayor and with the head of China.
That was
Now, that was a 50-minute meeting where
phenomenal.
our mayor met with the head of China, and that was his second visit with him when he was vice chair. How did the energy in the room feel toward you? How did you feel?
It was remarkable. First of all, when we walked in, we were kind of in a line with the mayor first, and then Michael Loss, and then me, and then all the staff. But each of us separately went up, shook the hand of the president, down to the lowest level staff at the beginning of the meeting and then at the end of the meeting. And so we each had an opportunity to talk to him. And so I think, we were excited about the fact that he talked about coming to visit the port, and visiting China shipping and what's going on at the port. So that was it was exciting. So.
Well, for us, it was extremely exciting because obviously the relationship between China and the United States, the entire world is evolving and pivoting around those two superpowers on the planet. So to see our mayor, I was so proud of him to be able to have that relationship going. That will help us, obviously, in the competitiveness that we presently have with the Panama Canal in the future. Truly, I need to ask you this question. Will we be competitive when the opportunity of the Panama Canal is done and the Gulf Coast and all the way up the East Coast from Florida on up is going to hustle like crazy? And how are we going to keep our 43% is my big question.
Well, since you mentioned the mayor's trip, I'll just say during that trip, and I also went to Taiwan with Commissioner Arian, we made deals with two customers that probably mean to this port and city about $500 million of revenue. So two customers committed to extensions of their lease. I had a follow-up meeting, and after that, and now every port terminal operator has committed to a project and a lease extension. So that means we've locked everybody in, and that's what I'm trying to do, lock everybody in for as long as possible, because all of these leases have minimum guarantees in terms of how much cargo they bring here. We don't want to ever fall to that level because they bring a lot more, and that doesn't mean that the competitive issue is solved. There's still a lot more we have to do in efficiency in other areas, but we feel very good about what's going on in terms of committing to projects with all of the customers.
Well, I like the $200 million you mentioned that you got in grant funding through various strategies of pulling that together. That's extraordinarily good. Plus, it is a revenue-generating hub for the United States of America. Everything goes through there. 43% does. So it's good for the robust economy all over the world, frankly, that this works out. And I just wanted to point out that our mayor showed tremendous leadership on this. And I think the relationship between Los Angeles and China is going to be enhanced by the continuing relationship that you will develop going forward in your leadership, and our incredible member of the committee here that has the passion too. So I'm pretty bullish. Do you think that this would mean all that notion of that pollution would stop before they come in with their ships? Remember it started under Jimmy Hahn. That, and then it continued. Where are we with that whole thing?
Well, we've reduced emissions from all port activity, diesel particulates, which is the big thing, by 71% over the past 6 years. We now are focusing on a couple of key areas. One of the things that we did just about 6 months ago is we signed on to a Global Environmental Ship Index. It's an incentive program for the ships that are cleaner than required by international standards to try and attract them to our port. And so that program is growing very fast worldwide. We're the first U.S. port to sign on. Now Vancouver signed on. The Port of New York, New Jersey is signing on. So now we're really trying to go after some of those things that are really, we've done the low-hanging fruit and the fruit in most of the tree. There's a few things on top we're going after that are a bit more challenging, but we're trying to be creative about doing it. And so we're looking at how the Environmental Ship Index will benefit our overall reductions.
Again, goes back to security, this 9/11 business and the constant war on terror that we seem to have at every turn in the road, including just when Santa Monica erupted, the first thing we all think about are these things. We can't help it. It's all connected. So when you take a hard look at security, has the leadership in Washington been there for us? I know we can't check every container. We have to have strategies that fool the bad guys, so to speak. How do you feel about all of the energy and support? And is our congressional delegation being as supportive as, is there anything we can do to assist you in this?
I just got to ask, you're not questioning the dedication of Congresswoman Janice Hahn, are you? Congressional delegation. She listens to this committee. I'm concerned
to hear it.
Yeah, we have tremendous support. And actually, this morning, all of us spent the morning with the FBI and the Secret Service, talking about port resiliency and cybersecurity and things like that. So we're looking ahead. We're always trying to be one step ahead of everybody else. We want to be the world's leader in port security.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am very proud of you, Dr. Nats, and the way you've taken the port and also the leadership, as you said, votes in the past. I think of Mayor Bradley, though, when Mayor Bradley and John Farrell first went to China, which after President Nixon opened it up, they aggressively said this port is going to look this way, and so much is after his work that they have all done in the past and other council members of that area. Clean air, clean water, so important. I remember the port waters were dirty. It has been turned around. Clean air, I hike every day in Griffith Park, other than the fire in Hollywood, which I beat the BC to, Joe. Nice. Other than the fire in Hollywood, you could see down to the port, it has made a difference to the South Bay. It has made an absolute difference. I do want you to, this is a great, simple document. This should be the model. You don't need 42 pages and a bunch of words. Whoever the port photographers are or is did a great job capturing that. But emergency preparedness is so key, and your emergency managers, and if you see something, say something, which is so important around facilities. Joint exercise with Long Beach, because if something happens there, it happens there. Earthquake, terrorism, or fire. I remember the San Sinian. How old were you, Joe, when that?
I remember that, too.
Why was that?
74 weekend, 76.
It was 76, December 76.
Yeah. I was flying up to Oakland that morning, and I remember it. All right, so all that could happen in the impact. That is key. Those are eggs from that he wants to ship around the world from Rosendal's farm in West L.A.
Supposed to do something with them. I'm like, I didn't know.
Don't throw them. Okay.
Oh my God, thank you.
Anyway, but joint exercise and reminder, and then the community involvement, that you're near a facility. If everybody in Wilmington and San Pedro and Palos Verdes and other neighborhoods aware of that and have a joint exercise on a Saturday, just make it a thing, because it could happen. And preparedness is so important. Trade Connect, I think, is great. I'd like to ask you to present to SCAG. I'm on the executive board of Southern California Association of Governments, which is all the counties except San Diego. And I'll help you with universities and colleges. And I think the fact that you're Port 1 there, you're transforming that is such a great thing. It's going to be historic and a legacy for all who had their handprints on it. The one thing, too, I want to do, the port did this once before, and I think I don't know what year they did it, but they actually had a report that connected right into the neighborhoods. How many jobs in the 12th district?
Right, we did that, yes.
If you do that again, just update it, and then get to the neighborhood councils, and maybe in the fall, have your team just go out and say why the port is important, which I think is so key and important to the ports. And then the last things, too, is on this, too, it would be a nice map of the world just to show how we're connected to the world. And I will tell you that it'd be nice to know, and the CLA could find out for me this, if it would be possible, the number of commercial ships in the world, the number of commercial planes, and the number of commercial trains, just not boxcars, but power. And just to see, just so we educate, information is knowledge is power. It's a changing dynamic. Yeah. What we're talking about today is going to be different in 5 years, 10 years. And the last thing I did want to say, did you hear about the coming potential for the Super Bowl? They call it the 110 Olympics, with the games at the Coliseum, obviously at the Rose Bowl, Staples Center, the Galen Center, the Cal State Dominguez Hills, but also they're discussing this, and it may haven't got to you at this point, but I think a lot of the housing would take place with ships you know about this,
okay.
Joe. The ships, the commercial ships, the cruise ships
Right.
for housing.
The Iowa can birth 3,000 in a bark.
3,000. So that's exciting. And the last thing, Joe, I'd like to see you do, because I know they do the traffic reports, and they say the Harbor Freeway. Well, the harbor could be a lot of places. The San Pedro Freeway, I know Wilmington, get something, a name, put a big, on the top of one of those buildings, Wilmington, a big thing.
Right, it is.
No, in San Pedro. That's where it is. Long Beach Freeway, Pasadena Freeway, San Pedro Freeway. People start thinking San Pedro.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good job, everybody on the port. Molly, great job, too, at the CAO's office. And your deputy director there is real good. I'm so proud of Mike Hillman, too, because I told you privately, the first person, if I had one person to pick next to me right now, you guys are nice guys, but I would be Rayford Johnson. Rayford, in this county, in this city, Rayford Johnson, if you wanted to go down any dark alley. The next guy, Mike Hillman.
And let me just make a point of order about the eggs.
Oh.
All right.
My colleagues have all gotten them, the mayor's gotten them, all kinds of characters have gotten them over the years.
I'm like thrilled.
But they're organic.
Yeah,
From my own hands, and you've earned it the hard way by really delivering the goods to the people of the city of Los Angeles. And I admire you for that. We didn't throw them at you, obviously. They're valuable eggs, and you're a great asset to us, and I appreciate all the hard work you've done.
I'm going to save this sticker for my scrapbook.
You can do whatever you want, but there's your turkey egg in there, too.
Yeah,
And you'll see some of the more senior
Why do
staff
big
types
turkey eggs?
who also know how good these eggs are, because, it's all about being positive and connecting in a positive way to everybody. And what you're doing at the park is incredibly good. And Joe and Tom, love you, too, for it. So
Thank you very much. Love you. Is this not your second to last? We may have one more meeting, Bill, but we thank you for that, for the award. When I ate eggs, and I don't often do, but when I do eggs, I eat Dos Equis Rosendahl eggs.
They are true eggs.
Oh.
I personally went into the backyard to check. They are eggs.
Oh, okay.
Very
cool.
I want to bring it back to the budget. I'm sorry. Sorry. But Tom kind of sparked a chord here. We are one of the leading ports in the world when it comes to new technology and green technologies. I don't know if you're hearing this e-highway that Siemens is proposing. Where in the budget are we dedicating funds to new technologies in the Port of Los Angeles?
That is in our environmental operating budget. We have money for the Technology Advancement Program. We also have money that was that actually was set aside, that was originally for the truck program that AQMD is holding, that will go towards this particular demonstration project.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Council member, if I could add to that, last Monday, we had a great event where we actually rolled out with mayor staff from both us and Long Beach our new Energy Management Action Plan, or EMAP, which will be the next element of e-highway and dealing with what will be one of the great challenges in the next decade in the port world, and that's dealing with energy. Great cooperation from DWP. They were also present along with Edison. So you'll be hearing a lot more of that in the next year or so.
Thanks for your commitment on that. Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Molly, say something.
I'm sorry?
That's it. Say something. Say something. What did you say?
Well, I think we're just so thrilled with all of the stuff that's going on at the port and, your involvement and support for all of that, particularly Council Member Buscaino, so.
Good. Thank you so
much. And the port's a great, we've seen it change, a shift in being a great community partner. I see Cynthia Ruiz, Audrey Baker as well. Thank you so much for being, having that commitment of being a good neighbor. And as we talked at the airport in CD11, Mr. Rosendahl, he has those same demands of both airports and Port of Los Angeles being good neighbors. So thank you for that.
And before you leave the table, maybe we could ask the President of the City Council, Mr. Wesson, in some meeting in either in the fall or in the summer, that we meet in San Pedro, and then right afterwards have a deep tour for those who are new. There's 7 new members, so.
Yeah, I directed Patricia Whalen to set up a tour, but I like that idea of bringing the City Council to the port. Appreciate that.
Good, thank you so much.
And council members, it's very valuable to us to see your staffs also.
Right.
And that really extends to the entire council. We've had very, very productive sessions with your staffs to show them what goes on down there and increase their level of.
So they can tell the story to the community. That's very good. Now, I know you got a meeting in 10 minutes, but we have 2 quick items, so let's do those 2 items right now.
Yes, under item 4, the harbor is requesting an amendment to the administrative code that would authorize the executive director of the harbor department to have broader authority for contracting, and they would like the director currently can execute contracts for up to $150,000 and a term of 1 year or less. And what they would like to do is broaden that term to 3 years and for $150,000 per year.
And this is the same the executive director of the Los Angeles Airports has?
Yes.
The same airport?
Yes, it's exactly the same thing, and it's on procurement projects only, so
procurement.
not consultant contract.
Mr. CAO.
Alvin Newman, CAO's office. We recommend approval of this item. As has already been stated, it's already been implemented for the airports, but it's also going to be something before the port within the near future that DWP is going to ask to implement something very similar.
Mr. Buscay.
How many of these contracts come before the board on an annual basis?
Anything that's going over the 150 goes to the board. And on an annual basis, we aggregate the whole thing so that the board has a full picture of all of our contracts.
Got it. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, so seeing no more comment, that's a unanimous vote by committee, forthwith
Yes.
as well.
And under item 5, the harbor commissioner is submitting a permanent board order and draft ordinance to amend the tariff regarding billing for shoreside electricity.
Council
Yeah,
members,
this-
there's one technical correction we'd like to make
Oh,
to this
okay.
on a typo. Our city attorney will tell you what that is.
There was a clerical error in the order, council members. The amendment of the tariff item relates only to item number 1210. References were made in the order to item numbers 100 and 605. Those references are being removed.
Let me just explain, the purpose of this was as ships start plugging in an AMP, the customers came to us and wanted some clarification in the tariff so that it could be clear that they could bill back the ships for the cost of that power. And that's the purpose of this tariff change.
It's probably the same thing the water side of water power does when a contractor or a movie company uses a fire hydrant. They put a meter on that hydrant and then they keep that same. So you're good with it?
Yes.
Jay, you have any questions, or you got that? Hey, Mr. Roosevelt, you're good with it?
I'm good with it.
Unanimous, thank you. Have a good day at the birthplace of Los Angeles.
All right.
All right.
Okay, as a point, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
As a point of clarification for item number 5, do you want to approve that as amended?
As the city attorney requested. Whatever the city attorney requests, we support.
And as for item number 3, would we like to note and file that?
Note and file that, and we're going to hold that. We may want to send it to Mr. Weston to schedule it for a future council meeting. It's good.
Just continue it.
Just, yeah.
We will continue.
You got it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Nance, and your team. Have a good day.
Thanks, Mike.
See you, Michael. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot. See you. All right, next item.
Which way do you want to go?
Let's go to
Item
1.
1?
Yeah, 1.
Under item 1, the mayor submits for council confirmation his appointment of Mr. Robert Ovrum as executive director of the Los Angeles Convention Center.
Thank you very much, members. I just wanted to say Mr. Ovrum has a great history in public service with his history and as a city manager, where he really turned things around and municipalities around. It was our fortune to have him come to provide a variety of roles, most recently as the general manager of building and safety. But this opportunity really puts all, I think, his expertise and skills together. So I would want to ask to make an opening remark, if you would, and then open it up to questions. Thank you, Mr. Ovrum.
Well, for the sake of the record, let me say I graduated from San Diego Military Academy in 1963.
Good job.
How old are you? My birthday is June 15th. I think your birthday is May 15th.
There you go.
Very good. But it's a personnel violation. It's a personnel violation, Mr. Rosendahl. Ask people how old they are. So, strike that from the record.
We take pride in our age.
That's good. God bless you. Okay. Go ahead, Bud.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I am very excited about this. I think the council, and I take no credit for this, all this credit rests with the city council of defining a new mission for the LACC, LA Convention Center, of not just running the big building. The big building's, again, one of your important assets. The port's an important asset. The airport's an important asset. The convention center is a very important asset in terms of the economy of this city. So I think I'm privileged to be a part of that. But what the council did last year was expand the role of the convention center to be the platform from which to promote all tourism and all visitor activities in the city of Los Angeles. We're very interested in the cruise terminal. I wish Mexico could get its act together so we could get cruises back. We want to promote ports of call. We want to promote the NFL. We want to promote Griffith Park. We want to promote the LA Zoo. We want to promote cultural tourism. There are a lot of assets that this city has that we can take all of the various pieces of Los Angeles from a visitor's perspective and put them together in a more coherent strategy. We want to expand the size of the convention center. We need to build a lot more hotel rooms around the convention. These are areas where I do, Mr. Chairman, I thank you for that comment, have some experience and look forward to bringing that experience to bear in this position.
Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you. Mr. Ovum, my office received a draft action plan for the convention center. Thank you for getting to work right away. I mean, you dove right into this. We appreciate your efforts. Give us a brief overview on your first year's priority should you be appointed permanent executive director.
Well, I think the first thing we have to do right now, starting as soon as I get back to the office this morning, is deal with the privatization contract. We have received the bids on the privatization. The CAO has recommended AEG. We need to negotiate the terms of the contract with AEG for operations. I think that's that is probably the most important thing on our plate right now. We also have to deal with the employees in the most equitable and fair way. There are a lot of people who are very concerned about what privatization means to them. The council was very clear in making sure that the contractor provided happy birthday. Thank you very much, sir. The council made particular efforts to make sure that the permanent employees, the regular part-time employees were protected. So we want to make sure that we move forward with that privatization contract. We want to make sure we do it in a way that's fair and equitable with our employees. So that's job number one when I get back to the office this morning. We're also still moving forward very aggressively with the new hall, the expansion of the convention center. To be competitive in this world, we just need a bigger convention center. The report that you have shows the size of the other convention centers around us in the nation. We need to get up to about 1 million square feet if we're going to be competitive. And so we're working very diligently on that. I have Tom Fields here in the audience with me, and he's the point person on the physical improvements to the convention center. We really, to make the convention center competitive, we also need to do the hotel rooms around the convention center. The report that you have shows how many hotel rooms are around different convention centers within a quarter-mile walking distance. We simply do not have anywhere near what we should have. So we're going to be after about 4,000 additional rooms. Again, based on my experience as deputy mayor, based on my experience as head of the redevelopment agency here, I know something about hotel development, and I can work very closely with the new mayor to make sure that we proceed with that. I'm very excited. I know people poo-poo the idea of the NFL, whether that's moving forward or not. I'm a very strong believer in the NFL. I think it's important to bring it here, not just bring the team here, but the stadium will provide a venue that will give us really every niche in the market, from Staples, Nokia, the event center. So we've got a very full plate. I really got the opportunity to be involved with the ports of call selection process, and I'm a wild, enthusiastic believer in our port, in ports of call. I love your idea, Mr. Mayor, or Mr. Chairman, of the San Pedro Freeway. Is there a second to that motion?
That's all right. If I'm mayor, I'll do it, Joe. I don't want to wait, though.
Being a Navy brat, I grew up around ports all around the world, and I love San Pedro, and I would really like to promote ports of call and make sure that's an important part of our, in the waterfront. And enjoyed the cruise with you down the channel when we brought in the Iowa. What a day that was. Took us a long time to get off, but
no kidding.
It was a great day floating down the channel.
I see here we got a letter from the Los Angeles Tourism Convention Board signed by Patty, Senior Vice President Patty McJennett, as well as her overwhelming support of this appointment, as well as the executive director of Mr. Wooden, President CEO, rather. And they lend their support. How do you plan on working with the LA Tourism Convention Board and bringing more conventions into the city of Los Angeles?
Well, and that is going to be a really important hand-in-glove relationship. And again, I commend the council. It wasn't my idea, but I commend the council for the approach you've taken on this. In the past, the LA Convention Bureau's contract reported to the CAO, and that's great. But now, the LA Convention Center Bureau contract report to us through the LACC, and I think that's really going to cement the working relationship between them. So the organizational chart that you have in that report talks about the LACC, and then we have two contracts. We'll have the contract with AEG as the operator and the contract with the Visitors and Convention Bureau as the marketing. And I expect the three of us, Ernie, myself, and whoever AEG appoints as the point person for them, to be a big three, to work hand in glove seamlessly on a day-to-day basis. I think in the past there has been some stress, some tension, between different things. The council also changed the marketing strategy, where instead of 24 months and out, now they have 12 months and out. So I think we're going to be bringing a lot of additional business. I think they have goals, and we'll mirror those goals. We will give you an actual work program with projected conventions, visitors, hotel occupancy. I'm a big believer in performance metrics. We're going to tell you in advance what we think our goals are, and then we're going to report to you regularly on how well we're achieving those goals.
And we benefit greatly from the TOT, right? Especially our general fund.
Yeah, through the general fund. We don't get a piece of the TOT per se, but the 3.5% go into debt service, 1% goes to Visitors Convention Bureau, 1% goes to cultural affairs. The rest goes into the general fund, and then we get our money from the general fund.
I appreciate that, and I offer my support of this appointment. Thank the mayor for making a wise selection, Mr. Overham. And I had a chance to see Mr. Overham as a father and a loving grandfather as well. We found ourselves camping at the LA Zoo last summer.
Wow, that's great.
It's his commitment not only to the city but to his family is commendable.
That's very good. Much. Thank you, Joe. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, and indeed, just on that note, with your birthday a few days away, you've earned those eggs over the years. Leadership, just so you know, for the record. But let's talk about the convention center. You probably remember when Lopez wrote that piece,
Steve Lopez.
the reporter for the Times, he set it up and made it very clear where I was coming from. I said, if we can get a team, then you can consider us moving forward financially. AEG spent about $40 million, is that right, on their initial proposal and what they put together?
And all of that. But they spent a lot of money.
And they ate that, so taxpayers didn't get hit at all. But AEG is still in the mix because they would like to move forward, is that correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, and then there's another group. What's the other group?
SMG.
Tell me about them real quickly.
Again, I was not a part of the selection process per se. That was started before my time. SMG is a very responsible company, a very reputable company. They manage a lot of convention centers all over the United States. So I think LA was very fortunate that we had two really strong companies competing for this very important contract.
What's your sense of timing on that?
I think this schedule, if everything, I'm going to go back and be working with the CAO on it now, and Marla Blevins is in the audience, and she's been the point person for the department up to this point, and will continue to be with my involvement now. The goal is to have it to you before the end of the mayor's term. I think their schedule is to bring the contract to you by June 25th or 28th. That seems very ambitious, but you know the mayor. He pushes pretty hard, and I think the CAO made in the panel that he had made the right selection. I think AEG is a fantastic partner to work with, and if we can hunker down, we'll have that contract back to you in June.
I think that's terrific. I
June?
gotta tell you.
In June.
June 26th.
This month.
2013.
All right, that sounds like Danny.
Yeah. No, it's part of Antonio's legacy, as you're suggesting.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But here are the three quick questions. Number one, we're 15 now in the nation, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we'd like to be 5, right?
Yes, sir.
And to be 5, we have to do what we're doing and create 4,000 more hotel rooms.
Correct.
Okay.
And expand the physical facility to 1 million square feet of contiguous.
Right, so we can handle being number 5. The point that everybody needs to understand is we are a destination point for the whole world. We are the megalopolis of the planet, the microcosm of all of humanity. We have 37 nations that have the largest population here outside of their home countries, and we have over 100 different languages spoken. So I can see the large international, huge conventions being held here. We have all the support systems for it. We have all the languages we speak, and we're a home base for community from all over the world. So I'm very optimistic that with the right set of parameters, this will go forward. I'm even reading the sports section every day to figure it all out. But I'm going to be going to that first game when you finally have it, because I believe in the direction we're taking it. But it's your relationship now that's going to determine how far we go and who goes with us in this dance, correct?
Yes, sir, I hope so. Thank you.
So you'll interact with the mayor and you'll come back with a proposal that we'll all have a chance to make a decision on.
Yes, sir, that's
Great.
correct.
Well-
I share your enthusiasm. I could
We're
not
going
be
to
more excited
confirm you.
about it.
I'm sure the chair is going to agree to that. We're enthused about you, and then we look forward to your leadership in the immediate future on this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just a note here from Lisa here, the TCT and the Finance Committee, this committee will have a joint meeting on these issues on the 25th of this month. So that's good. Thank you for that information.
Pretty exciting.
I love the NFL. If they come, great. But they say, for the life of me, I don't know why. Because we're the second largest city in the world, and just in T-shirts alone, there'd be somebody could buy 10 extra homes in Hawaii and in Utah, wherever they ski. But that being said, be prepared for them not coming, because also I think they'd look at Dodger Stadium just as much as they'd look again here. I'm sad to announce that Farmers Insurance is leaving Wilshire Boulevard. They're staying in the city. They're going to Woodland Hills, but Farmers Fields, is the driving force, at least of some activity there. But they have to relocate out of the Miracle Mile. I found that noted. We should have an aggressive business retention and relocation team. We should talk about that as well. I did want to make another point, too, which I think is real important.
Chairman, if I can interrupt you, the city's stated goal is to put the NFL at Farmers Field. The City Council also directed us to have a Plan B, and we are working on Plan B. We've brought in the ULI, the Urban Land Institute, preparing a report of what happens if it doesn't happen, and to make sure that we have a very viable fallback position ready to go.
And it's tough to tailgate from a parking structure. It's 18,000 seats right there at Staples, and for football would be 18 times 4, I believe, which is 72. Is that correct math there, Joe? You went to Mary Star of the Sea, and, yeah. But did you go to Mary Star at all?
No, I went to church.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, you got to count when you're in between the Hail Marys. Anyway, so the point being, I do think that's a thing that we have to be aware of. The other thing, too, mega hotels are real important, but also economy hotels are equally as important. I know we're all looking for great big hotels, but all hotels are real important. Especially, I like the Best Western. When I was at Mr. Roosevelt's district out at Loyola, I came up, drove through Santa Monica, which I hadn't done in 30 years, really. I mean, where I took time to look. They had multiple Best Westerns and multiple tourists with sandals on. This is around 9:30, 10 in the morning, waiting for their tour dates to get out. Combinations all around are real important to look at that in the future. I think you're going to do a great job at this, Bud, and I know you had to put in your resignation before you got you accepted. It's kind of a catch-22, but all that energy and talent and brains will help this. And also using the University of Southern California, which is right down the street, in some compatible roles, et cetera. So we'll send this on to council. When do you come to council? Wednesday. Okay, good. Super. So I'm good. You're good?
I'm very good.
We strongly unanimous support. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bud.
Thank you.
Okay, next item.
Would you like to go on to airports?
Yeah, we'll go to number 2, which is
Okay.
to withdraw the appointment.
Sure, yes. The mayor is asking that the council receive and file his appointment of Nicole Beckett to the Board of Convention Center Commission.
So ordered. Next
And
item.
he's already made a new appointment.
All right, now we got about a lot of airport items.
Item 6,
On consent?
the Board of Airport Commissioners submits for approval a first amendment to the contract with ThyssenKrupp Airport Systems. This is for maintenance and repair of the baggage belt system and the passenger loading bridges, as well as ramp scrubbing at Terminal 1 at LAX. The amendment would extend the contract for 2 years and add $4 million in compensation for the extended period.
And your commission approved it? The commission approved it?
Yes.
All right, CAO, give a quick report.
Good morning, Commissioners, Council members, Dave Shooter, Deputy Director for Engineering and Maintenance. Purpose of this 2-year amendment is to fill a gap between the end of their contract, which is late July this year, and that time when Southwest Airlines would take over these maintenance responsibilities during their upcoming renovation of Terminal 1.
Very good. Any questions? No questions? Johnny, any questions? Okay, so ordered. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Under item 7, the Airport Commission requests approval of the second amendment to its contract with Tetra Tech. This is a contract for environmental consulting services for the West Aircraft Maintenance Area Project at LAX. It would extend the term for 1 year and add compensation authority of $500,000
Any questions?
for that extended period.
Hello. Hi.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Bill Kreitz of the CAO's office. If I could state for the record that the CAO is providing copies of the Tetra Tech as well as the following item, Service Air, for the council and committee's consideration. There are additional copies in the back for the public. We didn't get this out in time to your office.
But we're okay with it? You're okay with it?
Yes, we are.
And you're with the airport department?
Yes, I'm Chief Airport Planner for LAWA.
Thank you. Joe, you okay? Yes. Bill, you're okay? So ordered.
Thank you.
And make the correction when we come to council. Next item.
Item 8 is the request from the Airport Commission to approve the First Amendment to its contract with HNTB Corporation, which is a contract to design the potential infrastructure that would be needed if LAWA decides to connect with DWP's high transmission lines, and to design also high-voltage design standards for LAX. This would extend the term for 1 year for a total term of 4 years.
Mr. Buscaino?
No questions.
We're good? You're a good CAO?
Yes, we are.
And your commission said okay?
Yes.
And Mr. Rosenthal's good? Go forth.
Thank you.
Next item.
Under item 9, the Airport Commission submits for approval the Sixth Amendment to the operating agreement with Service Air.
Johnny.
And it's a contract for operation of the 24-hour courtesy airport shuttle services at LAX. This amendment would extend the term by another 2 years and increase compensation by an amount not to exceed $25 million, and also would add a provision for contractors' compliance with the city's limitations on campaign contributions.
Very good. Mr. CAO.
Yes, we approve, recommend approval. Yes.
Got it. And the Ethics Commission looked at this too, since you talk about that as well?
No, it's just, they're standardizing most of their contracts.
That's good, just the same thing. Good. Want to say hello?
Hi, Debbie Bowers, Los
Good
Angeles
job,
World
Debbie.
Airports.
Okay, good. So, no questions? Team, go forward. Thank you very much. Next item.
Item 10 is a request for approval of a second amendment to the contract with TRMI Systems Integration. It's a contract to provide maintenance and repair of the traffic and automatic vehicle identification system known as Travis. This is for LAX, and it would extend the term for 1 year and making it a 4-year contract.
Very good. Madam CAO.
Yes, Andrea Mills, CAO Office, recommend approval.
Very good. And you're happy with this? Going to make a difference?
Yes.
It's traffic, you're going to watch it closely, make an impact?
The traffic in the CTA, we count the shuttle buses and
All right, very
various
good.
vehicles.
Any questions from the team here?
No?
No, so ordered. Next item.
Item 11 is a request for approval of the First Amendment to the contract with Birdie and Associates. This is a contract for maintenance and repair of the computer-aided dispatch system at LAX and at Ontario. It would extend the term for a fourth year and would increase the contract amount by $1.12 million.
Complete that last sentence again, please.
This amendment to the contract with Birdie would extend the term for a fourth year and would increase the contract amount by $1.12 million.
And let's hear from the CAO.
Yes, this report to the CAO is providing the reports for Birdie and Associates to be presented in council and committee consideration, and there are additional reports for the public. We recommend approval of this.
Very good. That's all I need to hear.
Oh, okay.
Operationally,
it's fine.
You're good for it. Thank you so much. Any questions?
No questions. No.
Thank you. Okay. 12, 13, and 14, and then we're completing our task today. Let's hear from 12.
Under item 12, we have a replacement sole source contract
And
with...
good luck to the students, and make sure you take them to the tower right now. Go up to the Tom Bradley Tower. You going to go up to the tower? Good job. Thank you. Good luck.
This is a replacement sole source contract with SITA, S-I-T-A Information Networking Computing USA, Inc., to provide maintenance and support services for the terminal and airline support system at LAX for a term of 5 years, and contract amount not to exceed $16.2 million.
Bill Kreitz with the CEO's office. We've thoroughly reviewed this, and we recommend approval.
Approval. The board's approved it.
Yes.
Good. Super.
A question, why the sole source contract? Why the sole source route on
This is for the common use system at the Tom Bradley International Terminal, and it is it's proprietary software.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rosendahl?
No, I appreciate what you've done on this.
Go forward. We're getting a lot of work done today. Let's hear the next one.
Under item 13, the request is for approval of the First Amendment to a terminal lease and license agreement with the Tom Bradley International Terminal Equipment Company. That's a consortium of the airline tenants. And it's to extend the term from 5 years to 10 years, allow for additional services to be provided in Terminal 2 and in the new Bradley Terminal. It would generate over $225 million in rent revenues and would add provisions for compliance with the campaign limitations.
Very good.
Campaign contribution limitations.
Absolutely. Okay. CAO's representative.
Yes, Andrea Mills, CAO office, and the CAO report for the Tetra Tech is currently not available, but the staff recommends approval for this proposed amendment, and we request that the CAO report be added to the council file.
And it will be prepared before we get to council.
Absolutely.
I know the CAO's been doing tremendous work with the budget and all other issues, so we got that.
Yes.
Your commission looked at this,
Yes, they
and
approve.
the executive director supports it.
Yes.
Any questions?
Just why 10 years rather than the 5 and then reevaluate? Is there a reason for that? Did we negotiate a better deal for 10 years?
Well, we did add premises, which gave us more revenue. We also added Terminal 2, and they are going to be maintaining the baggage handling system and the passenger boarding bridges for Terminal 2, along with some other services for the airlines.
Is anybody complaining that they weren't part of the process, getting a chance to bid or anything like that?
No.
And so we got good public disclosure, and their work was clearly understood. And so the 10 years, why are we doing 10?
It just...
Life goes by so fast, and so that's the reason I support
got to
it.
hear that answer.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, why?
Part of it is that they can give us a plan in order to replace some of the older equipment.
Right.
In order to do that, we need to amortize it over a certain time period.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, unanimous vote by members. Next item.
The last item, is item 14, and the Airport Commission wishes council approval of a proposed purchase of improved real property located at 6 6033 and 6053 West Century Boulevard, and at 6101 and 6151 West 98th Street. The seller is Skyview Center, and this would be for an amount not to exceed $113 million. Also, the commission has sent a follow-up list of 7 ongoing leases that are long-term for office space within the properties proposed for purchase.
Any questions on this here?
Open the vote.
No, but before you do, the CAO supports this?
Yes, we do.
And in the future, from the Airports Department, this committee, if we continue, maybe not in the next meeting, I'd like a report on all property that you have, and also the new council person would get.
I do have a question.
A question for Mr. Rosendahl.
Yeah, no, and obviously we need to know all this information up front. The 6033 and 6053 West Century Boulevard and 6101 and 6151 West 98th Street, subject to assumption of existing lease encumbrance, the property and existing lease agreements provide property management and leasing services. Explain that pieces of land and its relationship to the trains we're putting in or whatever.
I apologize, I should have brought an aerial. The piece of property is just to the east of the airport. Between Century and 98th Street are 2 large office buildings. One is 12 stories, one is 11 story, and they're about 407,000 square feet. In between the 2 buildings is a 412 parking structure. Across the street between 98th and 96 is 14.4 acre parking lot that goes with the building. It serves the building's parking needs. It also has an off-airport parking operation on the site that gives us a lot of revenue if this purchase goes through. It's very strategically aligned with, and I'll let Steve Martin come up and explain how it ties into some of the transportation.
He thought he wasn't going to have to speak today, but...
Hi, Steve Martin, Chief Operating Officer of LAWA. The surface lot that is to the north of the 2 office buildings is directly on the alignment of the people mover that would go from the central terminal area to either the proposed intermodal center and or the consolidated rental car facility. And part of our motivation for this transaction was we know we're going to put a train along that alignment, the people mover. We will increase the value of the property after we do it. We might as well own the property in advance of doing it. And then we'll have more control over the site and be able to integrate it into that people mover alignment better. It won't be as balkanized if we don't own these pieces of property. So it's pretty important.
It's really beautiful. And the people mover concept, I just want to be clear about this. My dream is the Crenshaw line and the Green line going to the central terminal where they hit the people mover and go around the terminal. Is that what you're envisioning this will assist in that?
Oh yeah, it's directly related to that. We haven't finalized whether the people
Not directly. Let's just do this. You're on the Green Line,
right,
and there's going to be a new fork. Instead of going down to the South Bay, there's going to be a fork that's going to connect.
Well, I don't know. We don't know what.
I know, but we're going to fight with MTA to do it right this time.
Right. Okay.
So we got to know. Mr. Rosendahl asked such a good question. So let's start with the Green Line. You're on the Green Line. You're coming in,
right,
and then we got to fight to build a line that connects to Crenshaw. So you don't have to change trains. You'll have a train that will go to South Bay or whatever. Then it gets up to 98th Street or 96th Street?
The people mover or the train?
No, the Crenshaw line is on Aviation.
Right.
And then
the extension on the Green Line, they have not. Metro has not decided whether it's 96th or 98th.
Well, okay, but
this property's between the 2 streets, so
it's a goodbye.
Sides covered.
It's a goodbye. It'd be tough to run it right through the middle of the house.
Yep.
You know, if it would be. So, but the point is, and maybe, Bill, maybe we should try to sneak another meeting in before the end, and maybe the councilman-elect could come too.
Well, I can
These are big issues.
Councilman-elect is really focused on this.
So he's focused, so
And
you're
he's
comfortable,
really-
good.
I'm comfortable with the direction we're doing, but for me, the most important thing, most recently, was getting the Crenshaw line to have a stop in Westchester, which we were thrilled about to see the MTA board do that. And I know that Mike Bonin should go on the MTA board, hopefully that'll be that relationship. We'll see how that goes. But he's focused on these issues as much as I am. And what we did with the Crenshaw line was a blessing. Our community really got involved in that, and to get the two of them into the central terminal is part of the solution going forward. It'll make a lot of...
Well, answer the question. Does the MTA propose to bring their trains west on either 96th or 98th Street to Sepulveda?
We don't know what they're proposing.
See, they don't know that yet.
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
But we know this piece of property is common to all the scenarios
Yeah.
that we've looked at for the people mover and they've
Right.
looked at for the train.
Right,
I love
okay. Well, there's much more work to do on that to correct one of the fates. And the other problem was that one was an Italian train, one was a Japanese train. And they were, it's true, when they manufactured them.
It's true.
And it was an argument, and they should have connected, because basically, if you did take the blue line, there should be like in other places of the world, complete traffic to the airport. Would you ever envision taking down any of your parking structures to accommodate more transportation? How valued are those parking structures in the central terminal?
The parking structures in the central terminal largely serve short-term parking.
Right.
And to some extent, multi-day parking. It's more likely that you'd have, parking off the airport and structure.
Yeah, I just don't want you to fear knocking one of those down to create a sensible place where the people mover operates or whatever you have to do. Don't
We've looked at
fear taking it down.
moving garages to create train.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a smart thing. Mr. CAO.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I might, I requested a technical correction be made by the city clerk. On page 4, paragraph 4, there was a number 500,000 in terms of capital improvements that Lau is planning to place or spend on these buildings. It should be 5 million. I omitted a 0 by mistake.
How do you make a mistake like that? That's a big mistake there. Did you work on the budget this year? Did you make any other 0 mistakes?
Hopefully not.
Thank you very much. So ordered.
Thank you.
I got it. All right. Very good.
Good reason.
We're all good? So we approve this. We thank you. There's no public comment. We thank our interns who are here and the students who come. Everybody go continue to serve the city well. Have a safe, good day. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.